Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mike Like. I'm Mike, and today I thought we'd go and take a look at some photo books that I have. Astronomy's proven to be very challenging, so I figured we'd cover some photography today. I've collected quite a few photo books over the years. I've got myself something like 24 of them, and I like to buy photo books when I see them. I usually buy them used, although I've bought some new. Buying used photo books is a good way to save some money because photo books, as you might imagine, are chock full of color photographs, and they're expensive, and publishers don't always keep them in print that long. So yeah, if you see a photo book and it's a good price and you're moved by the pictures, I recommend picking it up. It's just such great reading, and they're great on coffee tables. They inspire conversation, and people just like to kind of mellow out, and it's not any kind of hard reading. Some photo books are a little bit more storytelling, but many are just a photographer's works that they've collected and kind of painstakingly put together a narrative from the photos that they've taken without having to use text to do so. So we'll start with our first one. You guys might know this one. This is Diane Arbus, and she's a legendary street photographer of the 60s into the 70s before her untimely suicide. Diane Arbus just had such a way with street photos in New York and big cities like that. And, you know, you just see the magnitude of the person through her lens. And I'm just always inspired by Diane's work. And I won't spoil the book for you, but this is a must. It's just called Diane Arbus. This is her twins photograph. You see these hanging in museums in New York and elsewhere. And yeah, she's just been that impactful as a photographer. The next one is by an unknown photographer. This is a book about arcades, about the photos and stories of arcades. The author is S. Johnston, and I like it because it's kind of like got a zine energy to it. It's not so, produced, but like, I'll just go flip to a page right here. Like, this is really telling the story of a bygone era of arcades and, how they were in their 80s heyday. And today, I mean, arcades are hard to find. It's just kind of a lost pastime. But I really like it. If you like arcades, this book, being a paperback, is not very expensive. And that's always a plus. So if you're looking for a nice gift, highly recommend it. Put those over there. Humans of New York, if you guys have spent any time on Facebook, Brandon Stanton, he goes all over New York and he does little interviews with the people that he's talking to, but he's always got like a little story that goes to it. And this just kind of sums it up. He takes these, nice pictures sometimes in Central Park, whatever the case might be. Oh, lost my little wind guard there. It says, I was studying to be a ballet dancer, but now I'm learning to be a trapeze artist. And, you get a little insight of the people. I'm not sure if he's still doing this series, but yeah, he published it into a book maybe 10 years ago, and this is a really fun one to read. Where would a photo book review be without Robert Frank, The Americans? Robert Frank took a road trip in the 70s across America as it was then. Actually, I think it was more like 50s. It was many decades ago, and it's clearly an America that doesn't exist anymore. This is US 30 between Ogallala and North Platte, Nebraska. And it's just very simple. It's a mailbox and about 5 farmhouses, but there's such a simplicity there of a world that no longer exists. And if you're going to own a photo book, this is a really fun one to start with because it's not very expensive. It's not a big book. The larger the book, usually the more expensive it gets. I mean, here's just a restaurant leaving Columbia, South Carolina. Lots of good fun in there. The Americans by Robert Frank. It's a must. You should definitely have it. I think they have versions that are in larger prints too. I have a small one, but you can get big ones if you want. I like this one, Full Moon, because this is a book by the Apollo astronauts. So there's not one photographer responsible. And on the back, there's actually a quote from Tom Hanks, and he says, "A masterpiece, the kind of work that elicited a gasp from me with almost every turn of the page." If you're into astronomy and the Apollo program, you definitely have to check out this book. It's got so many different pullouts because these pictures were really big. I mean, they took these on medium format cameras of the era, but you get pictures that you wouldn't normally see, and it's just really cool. Another favorite, The Last Steam Railroad in America. This is O. Winston Link, and O. Winston Link was the man. He would light up a scene in pure darkness of like a freight train coming through, but at the time they didn't have ISO 12,800, and he would turn night into day with his photographs. I don't know if you can see that very well, but he would take on the order of several hundred different flash bulbs and time them all to go off at the same time to take his picture. Night photography, you know, in the 1940s, 50s, 60s was not what it is today. It wasn't just get a tripod and, you know, run up the exposure. You needed a lot of light for the film, and O. Winston Link is a master of that. If you have any interest in the old steam railroads, that era, definitely check that one out. You all know this one. This is Afghan Girl by Steve McCurry, but National Geographic published an amalgam of photo books, and they have one here that's just, you know, a perfect coffee table book. I love it. There's so many articles and stories in here. Here's one on sleep, and the photo is just a guy sleeping, and there's must be a dozen sheep in the room with him. I can't even imagine how that set smelled, but so much fun. This book, you'll find it used. It's been in print for a very long time. I just actually had it on my coffee table, and that's why it's kind of falling apart, but it's a great one. So National Geographic, the photographs, don't miss this book. A lot of fun. Moving right along into our 70s era, we got William Eggleston. This is the guide. Anyone who's seen him knows that the tricycle, the pictures that he took in color of the era are just so cool. Just all over Louisiana and Memphis, just a dog drinking from a puddle. How cute is that? These photos just have a remarkable sense of joy and color in them, and I really love that style. And you know, these photographs, they just elicit a time gone by, little motels that no longer exist, but they're captured in perpetuity in this book, and it's a lot of fun. Keeping in the 70s theme, Stephen Shore, Uncommon Places, same deal. Went across America back then. We can't do it now, but you know, he's got a store selling calculators in Minnesota and Duluth back in, what is that, 1973. So that's how far back it goes. Just really cool stuff. He's got such an eye for composition, and I really enjoy his work. One more bonus, a really big book. Todd Hideau, one of my favorite photographers, just has no problem going up to a house in darkness and taking its picture. And the format is just so huge that you can see that this book is just so much fun. This book always gets picked up just because of how massive it is, but I love his work with light at night. Almost every photo in his book is at night, but there's one or two during the day, and just a really cool book. It's called House Hunting, and he's got several books, but this is one of my favorites. It's also one of the more expensive books, just owing to its size, but it's not a thick book, so not very heavy, but not the kind of book you bring on vacation with you, certainly. But you can appreciate the large format that Todd Hideau would use because, you know, the book is just so massive. My camera died mid-through taping, but I wanted to finish with two more books. So before my battery went dead, I was going to cover Film Camera Zen. And this is a book by Bellamy Hunt, also known as the Japan Camera Hunter. Bellamy's an interesting guy. He's originally from England, and he moved to Japan because, I don't know if you guys know, but Japan is where all film photography really is. It's like the capital of it, and everyone associates Tokyo with photography, but this book is really cool because it is a buyer's guide of all things old cameras. So if you want to know about the M6, he's got it. He's got the Lomo cameras. I mean, every wantable analog camera in here is listed with a story, and I think it's a really good buy. The photography in it of the cameras is beautiful. You owe it to yourself, and it's not a very expensive book. We know a lot of these books are expensive. This one's quite affordable. I actually had a Yashica mat, so a very good book to pick up if you're looking. The last book I wanted to cover is called Aircraft, The Jet as Art by Jeffrey Milstein. And Jeffrey is an aerial photographer. So he's the type of photographer that gets into a helicopter and takes pictures from high up and from above and below. And if you like airplanes as much as I do, I mean, this is a really fun book to see. It's airplanes from all sides, but mostly upside down, and it's just really unique and fun. And I mean, I'm a big fan of looking at airplanes from the ground because that's how they are when they fly over. But yeah, if you're looking for a fun one, if you're an aviator, he's got some great photography in here, and it's just such a fun book. I got this one on a lark one day for, I think it was $5 or $10, but he's very good. He's got another book that I'll do in my next review, but we'll leave it there. Guys, really appreciate you viewing. If you stuck with me this far, go ahead and leave a like on the video, subscribe if you can, and I'll see you next time.